Welcome back to Travolting, covering Be Cool. Enjoy the episode. Sequels.
You hate them.
You hate them. Sometimes you got to do it the studio way, you know?
But they always suck, you know? They're always awful.
Especially when the PG-13 to an R-rated movie.
And you can only use the F-bomb once.
Fuck, that's not good. Well, welcome, folks.
Welcome.
That's right. We are being cool this week with a 2005 sequel to Get Shorty. Stuart's favorite movie we've ever covered.
I mean, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Get Shorty was all right. I thought it was a movie that I can understand would appeal to some folks.
Me.
To you, yes. It didn't quite do that for me personally.
So how did you feel when you knew we were going to be talking about a sequel to it?
I was not excited. I was not that enthused, should I say. But you know, we talked about that. John Travolta's kind of in his retreat period right now. This movie, like, on paper, sounds like the best retreat movie you could possibly do. Not only, ladies and gentlemen, is he doing a sequel to Get Shorty. I had a hard time, like, because I didn't really research Get Shorty for this, but like Get Shorty was like a pretty good critical success. It didn't like wow everybody.
Oh, it was a huge success.
Oh, really? Was it a huge box office success?
Get Shorty made $115 million on a $30 million budget.
That's pretty good, yeah.
And it has an 88 on Rotten Tomatoes still.
So, like, it's objectively, like, for critics and good portion of audiences, a good movie.
And it got Travolta a Golden Globe nomination.
Yeah.
Movie.
Bless you.
Thank you. And the movie itself got a Golden Globe nomination.
He's vaccinated, folks, with the booster.
Boosted.
We are all boosted.
Yes.
I'm boosted, too.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I love getting boosted.
Me too.
Yeah.
You know who else is boosted in this movie?
You know what movie could have used a boost?
Be Cool.
Because that is right, folks. As Stuart was saying, not only is this a sequel to Get Shorty, one of Travolta's early or mid-stage resurrection films.
Yeah, it came almost right after Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, it is also somewhat a sequel to Pulp Fiction.
Yes, it is.
In the sense that it is a reunion of John Travolta and Uma Thurman.
You almost said Mia.
I almost said Mia.
Yeah.
Uma Thurman.
Yeah. So on paper, this sounds like, oh my gosh, like, yeah, this has to work.
Like, this seems like this is a logical idea.
Yes. But of course,
it runs into some problems. Yeah. So
we're going to talk about those problems.
This is based on a book.
Yeah.
After the success of Get Shorty, the film, Elmore Leonard, who had written Get Shorty, went back and rewrote a sequel to it called Be Cool, about Chili Palmer segueing from the film industry into the music industry. The book was
so much better.
The book was a moderate success, whatnot.
Yeah.
But, you know, after that, it's a similar situation to The Lost World, where Jurassic Park was such a huge success that it inspired Michael Crichton to go back and write a sequel to the book.
Right.
So that Spielberg could make a sequel to the movie.
Gotcha.
Just like that, they wrote a sequel to Get Shorty so they could make a sequel to the movie.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense to me. I was a little bit confused about that when they said this was another novel adaptation. Because I thought, wait, wasn't Get Shorty based on? But when you say it's about basically a Lost World situation, it makes sense.
And so this, book's written in 1999, comes out then, and immediately, like, a film gets put into production or into development.
Yeah.
Travolta's pretty much locked in from the beginning to return as Chili Palmer. Barry Sonnenfeld originally is going to come back to direct this, as he did with Get Shorty, but it just starts taking a while. Travolta gets wrapped up into Battlefield Earth. He gets wrapped up into other movies. They never get a script that they like. Sonnenfeld eventually drops out. Who did they jump to next?
Gary. Oh,
first.
Oh, sorry.
First, they go to possibly America's worst director.
Oh God.
Brett Ratner.
Oh no.
Originally, Brett Ratner is set to direct this movie. He of fame of Red Dragon, X-Men: The Last Stand, and the movie where The Rock yells Hercules.
Yeah. Brett Ratner.
The less said about Brett Ratner, the better. Man of a lot of sexual assault allegations.
Really?
Yes.
Well.
But anyway, thankfully Brett Ratner does not direct this movie. Instead, they hire F. Gary Gray.
Yeah, which, I mean, I wrote down, because he's a little bit of an interesting case study. Before this, before Be Cool,
yeah,
he's known for mostly music videos and...
Friday.
What?
He directed Friday was his film debut.
But is he known for Friday?
Friday was huge.
Was it?
It was the Ice Cube Chris Tucker movie.
Oh, I didn't watch Friday.
Oh, well, Friday was...
I wrote down music videos and The Italian Job. That's the main thing that I kind of knew him.
Well, yeah, he started out with Friday, which was a huge success at the time.
Yeah.
It was kind of the first... It was in a wave of films that started like portraying like Black America in a natural, authentic light.
Yeah.
Instead of, a white director coming and doing it. This was a Black director telling a story about Black America.
Right.
And so it's fairly revolutionary for the time in the age of films like Do the Right Thing. He goes on to direct a few movies that don't exist, but eventually he does The Italian Job.
The Italian Job.
Which, massive success.
Yeah.
I remember seeing The Italian Job, and I was like 6.
I remember seeing it.
Yeah.
So then he does this movie. And something to point out, though, we'll talk about this movie, but to stay on the thread of F. Gary Gray, after this, he takes a few years off, comes back and does Law Abiding Citizen. You know that movie where Gerard Butler butchers a guy?
Yeah.
And like the most torturous way possible? Yeah, the same guy who did Be Cool does Law Abiding Citizen.
He takes another few years off after that.
Then he does
Straight Outta Compton.
Which
Which is another huge success.
Yeah.
He's kind of going back to his roots of the Friday era.
Right.
He even cast Ice Cube's son as Ice Cube, and his career started with Ice Cube.
And then he does your favorite movie of all time.
It's my least favorite of the Fast and Furious.
It's his favorite one of the entire franchise.
He does the Fate of the Furious.
He does Fate of the Furious, which I've not seen Fate of the Furious.
Segue. The Fate of the Furious is spelled The Fate of the Furious.
Okay.
It's the 8th movie in the franchise. It
Yeah.
should be The Fate, F8 of the Furious. And I am furious that they don't do it. There's a few posters where it just says F8 like Fate.
Yeah.
But I'm like, why is that not the title of the movie?
Right.
The Fate of the Furious.
God damn, they really missed it.
Butchered it.
Where does Fate rank in the...
It's the worst
There's
one.
9?
The 9 plus a spinoff.
9 plus a spinoff? It's the worst one?
It's the worst one.
Really?
Yes, it's the worst
Too Fast, Too Furious is
Too
better?
Fast, Too Furious is pretty good.
It's better than Fast...
5, 6...
I don't know. What would you say is the second worst? Give me some context.
I can bring up my ranking.
Well, it's just because I've seen Fast 1 up until... Is Fast 6 the one where... what's Dominic's girlfriend who they thought died and comes back to life? Is that
Letty?
Fast? Yeah, is that Fast 6?
Okay. So,
I think that's Fast 6.
Fate of the Furious is actually not the worst one. The real worst one is Fast and Furious, the 4th one.
Oh, what happened in Fast and Furious?
Fast and Furious is the one that reunites Paul Walker and Vin Diesel.
Reunite because they did
like they're in the
did Too Fast, which that's just Paul Walker.
It's just
no
Paul
Vin
Walker
Diesel,
with
Vin
Tyrese.
Diesel. And then they did Tokyo Drift,
Yeah.
which is none of them
Except
with
Vin
the
Diesel pops up
cameo
at the very end.
at the end. The Fast and the Furious. The 4th one is the
It's just Fast and Furious.
Fast and Furious.
Yeah. That's the one that reunites them. And they go to Mexico and do a heist and rip off Jorge Ortiz.
Huh. See, like, this is why I have no, like, earning to, like, rewatch any of these movies.
You should do what I did this year. Before the 9th one came out, I watched all 8 of them in a 2-day period of time. It was
That sounds horrid.
insane.
That sounds horrid.
It was insane.
But, Jeff, I'm going to stay cool about this.
You're going to be cool.
And we're going to talk about the movie Be
Yes.
Cool.
F. Gary Gray's most recent film after Fate of the Furious, he did Men in Black International, and he has not been heard from since.
Which Men in Black International wasn't that long ago.
2019.
Yeah, so he might have some stuff cooking in the oven. Mm-hmm. I don't remember Men in Black 3 International. Was it okay or good?
Men in Black International was supposedly very bad. I did not see it.
I saw it.
You saw International? Interesting.
And I know it feels like it's only 2 years ago, but it felt like a movie I saw 5 years ago. Because I don't really remember much about it, which might be a testament to it.
And it's funny because
Will Smith goes back in time and meets the young
that's
Agent
Men in
K.
Black 3. That's 2012. Barry Sonnenfeld Barry Sonnenfeld, the director of Get Shorty,
This
directed
is
that
the
one.
Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah, the Chris Hemsworth, Tessa Thompson one.
Then this I have not seen.
Yeah, I've not seen either. I don't think
one.
anyone saw this one.
So I stand corrected.
But that's F. Gary Gray's most recent one. Barry Sonnenfeld did all three of the
I
original.
literally wrote MIB3 in my notes, thinking that I totally
MIB4. MIB4.
MIB4. Okay, so that's F. Gary Gray. A bit of a. He's not a hard sell for the movie like this, I would say, right?
No, and he got kind of bullied by the studio on this one.
Right, because it wasn't the R rating joke that they have in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
That's a testament to like something that actually kind of happened with this film.
Very shortly before production began, the studio changed this from an R-rated comedy to a PG-13 comedy.
What was Get Shorty?
I believe Get Shorty was R.
But this is such an early 2000s move, though, isn't it? To like, this R-rated first movie did really well. What can we do to make the second
PG-13 sequel?
Make a PG-13 sequel, like Alien versus Predator. What the fuck, Fox?
Like
what? Hold on, tangent.
Yeah.
I need to go on this. You went on your tangent about Fate of the Furious. I need to go on my tangent about Alien versus Predator. So, all of the movies that predated this movie. All of the Alien movies, Aliens 1 through 3, because Alien 4 Resurrection came out after AVP. It did come out before?
All four Aliens, or the original, all the four Sigourney Weaver Aliens.
Came out before AVP, and they were all rated R.
And the first two Predators had come out.
And the first two Predator movies had already come out before this, and they were all rated R. So we're going to put two of these box office franchise, which... Was Predator really ever a box office hit franchise? Not really as much as Alien,
I think the
though.
first one was a big success.
First one was probably big, and the second one, when they go to LA, I think it was kind of okay. But both of these franchises, heavy blood, R-rated gore, the Predators literally skin people alive.
Yeah.
We're going to make it PG-13. The kids love these things, guys. Like, what? What? And then they made like an unrated version.
Well, here's the thing. Is that Alien versus Predator, you're like, why would they do that? And then I direct your attention to the movie making $178 million and getting a sequel.
But what were its ratings?
No, not good, but it got a sequel.
Yeah, Alien versus Predator Requiem, an abomination, just like the monster that it creates. A horrible movie. They nuke the town. Although there is one element in AVP Requiem that was kind of cool, which was the idea of xenomorphs taking over a Midwest town. That I kind of
into that.
I kind of like that shit. I kind of like that shit.
What if The Devil's Reign, but with xenomorphs?
Maybe.
Anyway,
and then they came out with Predator or Predators. And then they came out with The Predator.
Yes, which is kind of good.
That's a Shane Black one, right?
It's a Shane Black movie, and it's a complete mess, but it's kind of good.
I don't really remember it though. I know they have the big juiced up, Dolph Lundgren Predator.
The movie completely falls apart because there's a lot of studio interference. But the moments where like Shane Black comes out of that movie, it's cooking.
Yeah,
it's cooking.
Okay, I should just take your word.
Yeah,
Predators with Adrian Brody.
And Lawrence Fishburne?
And who's the guy that was from the 70s show? What the fuck's his name? He was also in Black Klansman as David Duke.
Oh, Topher Grace.
Topher Grace. He's in it.
He's in Predators.
He's in the Predators.
I'm looking at who else is in Predators.
It's
Adrian Brody, Alice Braga,
Danny Trejo,
Walton Goggins.
Yeah.
Mahershala Ali.
Oh, I forgot Mahershala Ali was in that.
Oh my God.
They have a samurai fight a predator and win.
Oh, yeah, they do.
Well, I mean, he dies too. It's sort of a draw, but he still kind of wins. That's kind of cool.
Yeah. Have you ever seen Jason X, the one where Jason goes to space?
Yes.
Can we talk about the best moment in that movie? Because he was talking about the samurai sword really reminded me of that.
Where he kicks the lady robot's head off and she's still alive.
Oh, no, that's pretty good too. But like, there's the part...
The simulator scene?
No, it's the part in Jason X where I cannot remember the guy's name, but it's like the captain of the ship.
You do remember the simulator scene though, right?
Yes, I remember. What's the actor's name? Whatever it is, he's like the tough guy. The character's name is Elijah Brodsky. And he's like the
also just a real quick timeout. I'm just going to address the audience now. It's really cold in Chicago, so we're going to keep Jeff's heat on. So if you hear that in the background, just be gentle with us. That's it. Continue.
And he comes up to, like, he's fighting Jason, and Jason stabs him in the chest. And the guy looks at him, he's like, it's going to take more than one prick in the chest to put this old dog down. So Jason pulls the knife out and stabs him a second time. And the guy's like, that'll do it. And then he dies. It's the best.
It is the best. You got to love the Jason movies for what they are.
Yeah. Anyway, I just had to get that out. We own it back. So this movie...
So Be Cool.
Be Cool, written as an R-rated movie, shortly before production changed to PG-13.
Yeah.
And F. Gary Gray blames that for the reason the movie's bad. And I say, hold up.
Hold up.
Because...
Hold up.
Here's the thing.
Raji.
Like, whether your movie's PG-13 or R, I think its quality is going to be determined by the quality of the characters, the quality of the story, the quality of the filmmaking. Like, it not having an R rating maybe takes some good jokes out, but that's not going to make it a good movie or a bad movie. Like, if you take some movies that were R in a franchise where it's mostly PG, like, you take the Wolf, like, Logan.
Yeah.
Logan's an R-rated movie. I think that's a benefit to it. If you make that PG-13, I think that movie would still work. Would it be less appealing sometimes?
It's a little controversial, Jeff.
Would it? Like, it would, like, he couldn't say fuck, and they couldn't show as much blood, but the basic spine of the story there is good, and the movie could work with that story.
I can already hear the fanboys typing at their keyboards like, put the gritty realism, bro. We need Xavier saying fuck off, Logan.
And I agree, that stuff is good and it helps the movie, but the movie itself would still work if it was PG-13.
I don't necessarily disagree.
Anyway, I'm just trying to say F. Gary Gray needs a better excuse than they made my movie PG-13, so thereby it is not good.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that's an excuse.
I definitely don't buy it for this movie.
That's not an excuse.
Because Get Shorty is like, yeah, it's R, but it's hardly R.
Yeah.
They just say a couple F-bombs, you know? And I mean, is there any more context that you have, Jeff, for this movie?
No, I mean, we're just right at this point where Travolta's... This is his basically last cling and attempt for to be accepted back. He's really pulling out all the stops, making this a sequel to Get Shorty and bring Uma Thurman back into it.
I know we have a film after this, which is kind of a flyby, but like, get it, flyby?
Yeah.
But what's after that one?
We have Lonely Hearts, Wild Hogs, Hairspray, and Bolt, and that pretty much is what's ending our A-list era.
On the final stretch of his A-list era.
That and Bolt's pretty much the last one where it's like it's a movie star role for him, and then he starts settling into second billings and low quality red box action movies.
Huh. Yeah.
We're getting there.
But this movie is the key essence of clawing his way back.
Yes.
Like, if like reteaming with Sam Jackson didn't work. If
like he specifically brought Uma into this movie because he's like, I got to recapture that energy.
Yeah, if like
this movie is just him trying to recapture 1994.
Oh, 100%.
Bringing her back. He's bringing a sequel back.
Yeah.
He even brings some of his old friends from the 90s back. James Woods pops up in this movie. Yeah. Robert Pastorelli pops up in this movie.
This is his last movie, by the way.
He died during production of this.
Yeah. Who also has some allegations against him, which were a little weird.
Yeah.
But it's almost like, like John Travolta in some sense, it's like, okay, the reteaming with Sam Jackson in 2003 didn't work with Basic. Passing off the torch as the mentor figure in a drama with a very up-and-coming actor didn't work, Ladder 49. The Oscar bait movie with an up-and-coming Oscar-winning actress did not work. Going back to my villain action roots didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
he's tried everything and none of it's sticking.
And this honestly is like probably, I mean, what if you were in John Travolta's shoes and this movie doesn't work, what would be your next try? Like,
you know what I would try? Is I would do a musical. And he does. And it kind of ends his career. Even though the movie is good. But we'll talk about that in a few weeks.
Yeah. So before we go in, I mean, I think something that I think is good we've been doing lately is just kind of giving like our overall thoughts at the beginning end of it, just sort of guide our conversation.
Yeah.
How did, just 5 words or less, what were your thoughts on this movie?
I'm going to use more than 5. But Be Cool is a movie that feels very much made for me.
Yes. I was literally thinking of that same thing too.
But it's not good.
Because Get Shorty was made for you.
A movie Get Shorty is a movie that features a 5-minute scene in which Gene Hackman tries to justify what else a noise in his house could be so he doesn't have to get out of bed, which is like precisely my brand of humor.
Yeah.
And this movie is just such a like Walmart brand version of that.
Yeah. It's a pretty good description.
It does a lot of the same riffs as Get Shorty, but none of it works.
It tries to add...
Well, I shouldn't say none. There are some good bits in this, but...
There are some good bits, but a lot of it tries to pull the self-aware joke, which they do a little bit in Get Shorty, but this one's just hand over fist self-awareness of it. Mm-hmm. And they do it so quickly in the opening, like 5 minutes, that it's sort of like, it numbs you for the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, okay. Which, with that being said, should we jump right into the plot, Jeff?
Let's jump into it.
So...
10 years later, we're catching up with our good friend Chili Palmer.
Chili Palmer. He's
successful movie producer now.
Yes.
But he's becoming a little disillusioned with the industry. He's just been forced to make a sequel to Get Leo.
Called
Get
Lost.
Get Leo being his... Because Get Shorty is a movie about the making of Get Shorty.
Yeah.
Which is very funny. Except in that they call it Get Leo at the end. And he's just been forced to make a sequel and he's not happy about it.
Right.
And there's a lot... This movie calls it shot with the sequel lines. We've talked about this before. I can't remember with what movie.
It was X-Men Apocalypse.
Yeah, I know we talked about with that, but what was the conversation that inspired that? Oh, Swordfish.
Oh, because it was like the
opening where he's like...
A Dog Day Afternoon.
Yeah, where John Travolta's just like explaining why this movie isn't going to go the way you expect, and then it goes the way you'd expect.
Yeah. So... Yeah, he's in a car with James Woods, who's playing Tommy, who is a music producer.
Yes.
So it's like...
Tommy Athens.
You have Tommy Athens, the big old movie producer in L.A., and then you have Chili Palmer, the big old movie producer in L.A. And the two are driving down in L.A., and Chili's telling Tommy about how he's thinking about getting out of the movie business. He was also into the sequel. That's when we get the F-bomb joke.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, and they made it PG-13, and like, you know that thing with PG-13 movies, you're only given one use of the F-bomb, and honestly, I say, fuck that, I'm done.
Yeah, and then they never use an F-bomb. That is a good bit. I like that.
I rolled my eyes at that
That is a good bit.
I rolled my eyes. I was like, oh, okay. All right.
Like, the fact, like, if you're going to be forced to make your movie PG-13, that's a good bit to do at the beginning where he wastes the fuck within the first minute of the movie.
Yeah. I wrote down full of zingers. So he wants out of the movie business. James Woods pitches him a movie.
Yeah.
Like, they stop at, like, a coffee shop or something, and, like, he starts pitching him this movie.
Yeah.
I'm going to make it about me.
Yeah, Tommy's like, we're going to make a movie about me.
Yeah.
The music producer.
He's like, I don't know, man.
And Travolta's Chili Palmer goes, I couldn't convince your mother to watch that movie.
Yeah. So then Travolta steps away for a second. Then a car pulls up. The Russian mafia
mafia gets out, goes, Dos Vidania, Mr. Athens.
And then they shoot Tommy.
Yeah. James Woods gets murdered.
And then Chili Palmer, Travolta, walks up and sees all this happen.
Yeah.
The guy aims his gun at Chili Palmer. And Chili Palmer, like, I will say, the one thing I will say about John Travolta this movie, I won't say that he's acting very well, but he's doing Chili Palmer very well.
He's back to Chili Palmer.
Yes. If you had watched Get Shorty and then watch Be Cool right after without the 10-year gap, it's almost like he hopped onto this role right afterwards because it's very similar. Like, he never cracks under pressure. He's never, like, scared or nervous or anything. Like, this guy's like pointing a gun in his head, and then click, and then he's out of ammo, and then he just gets in his car and leaves.
Yeah.
And my thought is, there's a lot of moments like this in the movie, and there's a lot of moments like this in Get Shorty where it's like, just take them with you, like drag him in the car, like kidnap him or beat him to death, or does another henchman have a gun?
Yeah.
But no, he points a gun, he's out of ammo, he's like, and then gets in his car and leaves.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, they're not there for Chili, and but that's their downfall, is that
they let Chili live.
Actually, the Russian mafia gets out of this movie pretty good.
Do they?
They actually do at the end.
Don't they get arrested? Or is that Nick? That's just Nick.
That's just Nick. Because
that's Harvey Keitel.
Yeah, the Russian mafia, I mean, a few of them get whacked, but for the most part make it out of this movie okay.
Huh. Okay.
And a few do get killed, but...
Yeah, I mean, and the
okay, so the Russian mafia gets out of this okay, at best.
We get out of it okay.
I take back some of that.
Yeah. So
But we cut to Chili talking to the cops right afterwards.
Yeah, he's talking to the cops.
And they're like, how do you know he was wearing a toupee? And he's like, Stevie Wonder could have told you that he was wearing a toupee. And then...
I'm just... All these bits, man, that you're laughing at. I'm like,
and they're like, what are you... and they're like, what were you guys talking about? Because you're obviously a member of Suspicion because you have mob connections.
Yeah, he was a Shylock. Everyone knows that.
And Chili says, we were just talking. He wants me to make a movie out of his life. I don't know how I can do it when the ending was just you getting whacked.
Well, he says, like, I don't know how I can make a movie when the protagonist gets killed in the opening act.
Yeah. And he says something like, that's a poor ending to the movie. And someone says, it's not a bad opening scene, though.
Yeah.
Because it's the opening scene of this movie. Hey, Stuart.
I know, Jeff. I know, Jeff. Like, yeah, that's funny. That's
when I was like, is this movie going to be kind of good? It is not. But
it is not.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see what that turning point was for you.
So he calls his car company and he says, I need a new Cadillac because his car got shot up. They're able to get him an energy efficient, what did he even mean, a Pontiac or something?
It's like a Volvo, I thought.
Like a Volvo?
Yeah.
And he's like, what is this? And they're like, it's the Cadillac of energy efficient vehicles. Because the first one is the Cadillac of minivans.
Yeah.
So he gets in his little Volvo and drives away. On the way to where he's going, he sees a giant billboard for Tom Hanks in Mr. Lovejoy. And it says produced by Harry Zim, who was Gene Hackman from the first movie, which is a good little callback.
Yeah, who was not in this movie.
No, Gene Hackman had pretty much about retired from acting at this point.
Oh, yeah.
He retired right around this time. So he probably said no to this movie.
Is this where we get to Danny DeVito?
Yes, because he goes to a club that night. Oh, he was told by Martin, the James Woods character, not Martin, Tommy, that there's this young up-and-coming artist he wants Chili to meet and maybe put her in a movie. Because he's like, she can be something big. And so, in respect to his dead friend's last wishes,
right?
Chili goes to this club that she's performing at.
And that's where he meets Linda.
Yeah, well, first he meets Martin Weir coming out of the bar, Danny DeVito's character.
Oh, right, yeah.
Who's just like, Chili, is that your ride? And he's like, yes, the Cadillac of Volvos, or whatever it is.
Yeah. And Danny feels like, hey, I'm going to be playing Johnny Cash pretty soon. And he's like, isn't that a little height disparity there or something? And he says something like, it doesn't matter.
Oh, we're stilts or something.
Yeah.
Danny DeVito's only in this movie.
Lower angles,
lower angles, that's what he says. Danny DeVito's only in this movie because he produced this movie.
And this is the only scene he's really in.
He pops up twice more.
Oh, really?
Randomly. Like he's at the Staples Center for the Lakers game.
Oh, yeah.
He's kind of playing a Jack Nicholson riff in this movie.
Because
he's an actor who loves the Lakers. He was always wearing the sunglasses, partying around town.
Oh, God. You loved that, didn't you?
I do kind of like that in this movie. He's playing Jack Nicholson.
Sure. So that's when he walks into the club, and there's a performance going on. This is when we see Linda and the other two girls that are performing.
And they're just called the Chicks.
The Chicks.
Not the Dixie Chicks, just the Chicks.
The Chicks. It's a great name.
Oh, geez. But it's Linda Moon is her name.
Yeah, she's the main singer of this group.
Mm-hmm.
And Chili watches her performance, and, she's good. She's a good singer, good performer.
Yeah.
Anyone out of Hollywood could have done it.
But he's basically like, she's the star, the other two. Yeah.
Yeah. So he talks to Linda about getting out and joining the record label that Tommy was in charge of. And she's like, well, I can't. I'm under contract with Nikki Carr. And he's like, and we'll find out who Nikki,
Raji.
And Raji.
And this is the scene when Linda turns around and points to Raji.
Who's Raji, Jeff?
Raji is played by Vince Vaughn. And Raji's whole bit is that, and to the listener home, I am not joking with this. Raji thinks he's black. And is not, because it's clearly Vince Vaughn.
So, he's not doing blackface.
Mm-hmm.
But
he's doing black voice.
He's doing black voice. Mm-hmm. And, this is why did he not get canceled for this?
This is horrible. This performance
worse.
is a functional violation of the Geneva Convention.
This is worse than White Man's Burden.
Yes. This makes White Man's Burden look like Shakespeare, is what Vince Vaughn's doing in this movie.
Yeah. I can't even like replicate what it is. I don't even want to try.
Vince Vaughn acts like he's from the hood. He wears a pimp hat.
He talks with a voice and with dialect and with slang and jargon.
And he's just, I'm not going to do the voice, but he's telling Travolta and...
You tired?
Yeah. But he's telling Travolta, Chili, and Linda, like, you can't get out of my contract. Travolta, Chili just says, she's out of her contract. Deal with it.
So then Raji
sends his bodyguard to go beat up Chili.
Elliot. Who's Elliot?
Who, as the Wikipedia says, is a gay Samoan bodyguard named Elliot, played by Dwayne The Rock Johnson, wearing quite the hairpiece and quite the fake mustache.
Shall we cut to the hair ranking?
Oh, are we ranking Dwayne The Rock Johnson?
Well, I'm going to give him his own little column.
Okay.
Because holy fuck.
Right. Let's go to the hair ranking.
Cue the music. Welcome to the hair ranking. All right, we're going to do 2 rankings here. But I'm not going to put Dwayne The Rock Johnson in the Travolting list. He's just going to get his own list. It's called John Travolta Movies with Dwayne The Rock Johnson in it. Number 1, Be Cool. And I think that's the only Dwayne The Rock Johnson movie we're ever going to get with John Travolta in it.
Yes.
So
it's the number 1 hairdo by The Rock in a John Travolta movie.
This now I can already tell you where Be Cool is going to go for Travolta. Okay. It's going to go above Domestic Disturbance, below Swordfish.
Whoa, where it's in the top 10.
Yeah, because like I said, in terms of Travolta's ability to replay Chili Palmer, he does it very well, and that's replicated in his look.
Yeah.
His hairstyle is very similar. He's got that slick back hair, and it looks pretty good on him in his age. Mm-hmm. So I like it.
Yeah.
I think it might be a little bit lower than Get Shorty. Get Shorty's like probably what, number 9 or number 8 or whatever. And this one's like maybe number 11 or some shit like that. So like it's a little bit lower than Get Shorty because it's a repetition of the same thing. I don't put it above Swordfish, but it's still quite up there, I think. So yeah, that's where I feel pretty good about it. So that's the hair ranking. Dwayne The Rock Johnson, the hair, the beard, all in his glory. But yeah, he plays a very flamboyant
bodyguard,
Samoan bodyguard.
Yeah, who doesn't like being a bodyguard. He wants to get into acting.
And he tells Chili this. And he's trying to he confronts him, but then when he finds out Chili is like the movie producer, he tries to like sweet talk him, and he's like, "Hey, I can do this thing with my eyebrow." And then he does the Rock eyebrow thing, where he like raises the one eyebrow. Yeah. Like, you know, if you've ever watched any WWE footage of the Rock, it's like when do you smell what the Rock is cooking? And then he does the eyebrow thing.
Have you seen the video of the Rock just yelling, "Sit down, bitch," and the whole crowd like goes, "Yeah."
Oh no, I've not seen it.
It's very funny.
Oh, I'm sure.
This is back when people were like, The Rock, you know, he could be a good screen presence instead of the biggest actor in the world that he is right now.
I love all the jokes that Raji says against Elliot, where it's like, "You'll never be a movie star" or anything, and then meanwhile he's probably the most
bankable movie
star.
I'm getting a little sick of Dwayne though, I gotta say.
No, I agree. And I was talking to my roommates about this. It's like, would you put Dwayne The Rock Johnson in like movie star status with like Tom Cruise or Leo? Only in the I'm not talking about talent. Not talking about talent. I'm just talking about bankability.
Yeah.
Like the name brings in dollars. Would you put him, because DiCaprio brings in dollars for his name.
Yeah.
Cruise brings in dollars for his name. Would you put Johnson in that same category? Because I think he's still there.
Yeah, nowadays he is.
Yeah.
But I'm like I can't tell you the last time I enjoyed a Rock movie or a Rock performance.
Moana?
Probably Moana, honestly. I mean, he was okay in Jumanji. He's good in the
first one. I didn't see the second one.
The second Jumanji, the first of the new ones, because they are a sequel to the Robin Williams movie.
Yeah, right.
It's like Jumanji 2, but also really Jumanji 1.
The first new Jumanji.
Yes, a movie that I didn't really like that much, but he's fine in it.
The Robin Williams one will always be on top.
Yeah, we know.
All right, Robin Williams.
Um.
Okay. So yeah, and then Travolta does the throat punch thing to Elliot and then tells him like, hey, I'll call you for an audition sometime, and then leaves. Chili Palmer does a great job of not getting his ass kicked in this movie. It's
consistently finds ways around things. He's playing all the sides against each other.
I just wanted to see him get punched one time for my own sanity.
For your own sanity.
Just once. Seeing this guy get through everything thrown at him with the minimal effort. So it's at this point he goes to Tommy's house.
Yeah.
And sees his widow.
Yes, Edie.
Athens. I thought Eddie for a second. But it's Edie, played by
Uma Thurman.
Okay.
Before we talk about Uma, I want to talk about a very weird thing I noticed in this scene. When he first enters her house.
Sorry, when she's sunbathing, kind of?
Yeah, before that even. Like, he walks in through, like, a sliding glass door.
Yeah.
This movie has the strangest focus issue I've ever seen.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Like, it's this kind of tracking dolly shot of him walking through the sliding glass door and walking towards him. The plant life on the hill behind the house is all in focus this whole time. He is soft the entire time, and he gets softer as he walks towards the camera. It's like they don't even adjust the focus. It just stays focused on the plants outside.
There were a few focus problems, though, in this movie, though.
It was it's like the strangest little, like if they had missed the marks, the focus would have shifted at least. It's just wrong things.
But they're focusing on totally different.
But it stays on the plants the background whole time.
Not even in the foreground or midground, the background of the shot.
Like, we're in the house, and it doesn't say focused on him. It doesn't say focused on the house. It's just focused on the plants outside of the house.
But, that brings up a little bit more of a broad observation that I've been making is that what shifted in this mid-early 2000s period? Because I've been noticing, like, in a lot of these new movies, like Ladder 49, like A Love Song for Bobby Long, that there are some focus issues that you didn't normally see in, like, the 80s or 90s.
Yeah.
So I just wonder what piece of technology was introduced that first ACs were like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah. It might be I
really want to know.
I mean, this movie is not shot on digital, I don't believe. But this is right around the time digital starts becoming a thing. I think there's a lot of new digital tools that are becoming notable.
I would love it if we had any.
This is also right around the time digital color correction is coming into being.
Okay. I'd also say I'd love if we have any fans who are experts in camera, who know cameras very well, who knows a very historical sense of cameras.
I mean, I could hit the wall right now.
Well, yeah, I know you could. But if anybody like knows historically speaking about cameras, if they can like confirm our suspicions. Because do you feel the same? I feel like in this early 2000s, there have been multiple focus issues lately that I haven't seen in earlier films in the 80s and 90s. So, yeah. What happens after that?
So he meets Edie.
He meets Edie.
And she doesn't seem that distraught about Tommy's death.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
She was like passed out drinking at her back patio.
Yeah.
And she has sunbathing.
A tramp stamp of Aerosmith's logo.
Oh,
this will play in later.
Dear listener.
Dear listener. But Chili comes and he's like, without Tommy, I thought I could run the business with you. I forgot what the name of it's like NF something, NL, the name of their company.
NLT?
NLF? I want to say NFT, but it's not. I think it's NLT.
Yeah. When aliens find like all this information and they listen, if our podcast is the only thing they can find to relive human experience, human like history, just know that for some godforsaken reason in 2021, dear aliens, that there was a thing called an NFT, which was worth a lot of money.
Yeah.
But
non-fungible token.
But over half the population did not know why.
Yeah. I would say over 95% of the population did not get it.
Did not get NFT.
Like someone's like, look at this NFT that I bought, and they like put it online, and I just copy and paste the image, and I'm like, now I own your NFT.
But apparently, it doesn't work that way.
Like it does,
but it doesn't.
It just means that they specifically own that image.
And
I'm just copying.
They own the code and algorithm within the image, though.
Yes,
it's different.
That proves that they own said image.
But it's different than just copy and paste the image.
But like when you do it, it's still you have the same level of. they could be like,
I hear what you're saying, Jeff. It's just for some reason NFTs are different.
Yeah, I don't know why.
I don't know either. I couldn't tell you why. Just something about the code and algorithm within the image.
It's like there's an algorithm within the image that proves that you are the owner of this image.
Can you believe we started this podcast like almost a year ago? We're now arguing about NFTs on a Travolta podcast.
Okay.
Good shit.
Anyway.
So the intern shows up.
Yes.
And she basically updates Edie and Chili about Tommy's dealings with the Russians, that there was like an insurance scam or something.
Mm-hmm.
This is another thing I'll say, like in somewhat favor of this movie, that it does very well. One of the things I remember, Get Shorty was the episode we had Kathy and Mary Grace on.
Yes.
And something that I think you and Kathy liked a lot was just how the 40 different directions this movie went with.
Yes.
Get Shorty. When the intern shows up and starts telling the James Wood story, I got flashbacks of that with Get Shorty, which is like, wait, what? Like James Wood was dealing with the Russians and with like a life insurance scam. I'm like, what? And it was like, whoa, here we go again. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah, James Woods goes involved in some life insurance scam that resulted in him getting killed by the Russian mafia,
in which Chili Palmer is a key witness.
Yes,
he's not really treated like a key witness though. Mm-hmm. I get the police talking to him that much about.
Yeah,
but no.
So we then meet back with the Russians, who are deciding they need to kill Chili Palmer.
Yeah.
Because
he saw them.
He saw them and could implicate them in this. We then cut to a quiet suburban street.
Oh, we missed something.
What did we miss?
We missed something. We missed Harvey Keitel.
Oh, we missed Harvey Keitel. Yeah. Also, that when Chili pitches to Edie that he can help her run the company, she says, "I don't need help. I built this company. I can run it." And it's like, hell yeah, Uma Thurman. But she still kind of agrees to keep him along as a consultant.
Yeah.
Chili.
So afterwards, Raji.
Yeah.
I start writing my notes, Reggie. Raji, Vince Vaughn, Black Vince Vaughn.
Oh, God.
I'm going to call him Black Vince Vaughn. I know it sounds crude, but that's what he wants us to call him.
Yeah.
He wanted us to call him Black Vince Vaughn. He shows up to the, like, head of another record label.
It's his partner.
Like, yeah, it's like his partner.
Raji and Nick Carr co-run a record label, but it's very clear that Nick is the actual runner.
Right.
And he just kind of keeps Raji around.
And Nick Carr is played by Harvey Keitel.
Harvey Keitel.
Who played Chili Palmer in the fake movie within a movie. Get Leo.
So there's like two Harvey Keitels walking around in this world.
Yes. I think that's important to point out.
Yeah.
It's at this point when I write down my notes, get Vaughn out. Enough.
He is committing war crimes by every scene.
But they're basically just saying like she's under contract, and then that's when Nick says in the menacing voice, call Joe Loop.
Yeah.
Who is Joe Loop?
Joe Loop is Robert Pastorelli. Who is a hitman who's always found at like a club. He's always eating a sandwich in a club when they call him. It's kind of a funny bit. But they call him up and they say, we need Chili whacked.
Yeah.
And he's like, fine, I'll do it.
Then we get Cedric the Entertainer.
Yes. And then we cut to a quiet suburban street. We go into a little house. Cedric the Entertainer.
Big
mansion. Looks like a jolly guy.
Yeah.
Is cooking pancakes for his daughter.
Yeah. We're about to get to a bit that I actually did kind of like.
Yeah. And Cedric's great.
He is good.
Yeah.
Cedric is good.
Cedric's cooking in this movie.
When you told me that, I thought no one's cooking in this movie. But I watched it and it's like, if I had to give anybody credit, I give Cedric a little bit of credit.
I also just love that Cedric the Entertainer calls himself Cedric the Entertainer. I'm going to start calling myself Jeff the Entertainer.
We got to do something a little more original.
Like every film that
Jeff the Infuriator.
No, Jeff the Entertainer. Like anytime.
Jeff the Annoyer.
Like when I get my Crudio memo and it says, what do you want to be credited as? I'm going to write Jeff the Entertainer. And I will off them.
Mallory will murder you.
Yeah, but we meet hi Mel. We meet Cedric the Entertainer playing Sin LaSalle.
Sin LaSalle, what a name.
Yes. Good name.
Yeah.
And then we just start hearing
a hip hop song
in the distance. He opens up his front door.
3 black
Humvees.
Hummers.
Hummers pull up.
Yeah.
There's like an old white woman across the street who runs into her house.
Like, hi, Sin.
And this is the beginning of a very good bit in this movie.
Yes.
Because all 3 of these Hummers are playing a rap song. And every single time in the rest of this movie that these Hummers pull up, they're playing the exact same section of the exact same rap song. And it's a good bit. Every time they roll up, they start...
It's pretty good.
Starts the exact same beat, the exact same lyrics. Every time they pull around, implying that these guys just drive around to listen. Because they're a rap group, the Dub MDs. Like WMD, but Dub MD.
Weapons of mass destruction, people.
And it implies that they just listen to the exact same section of the exact same track of theirs everywhere they go.
Yeah. So, Sin comes up to his group and he's like, "Turn that music down. Like, I live in the suburbs. Come on."
Yeah.
And then they're like, "Well, hey, we kidnapped the program director." And they're like, "What?" And then he's like, "He's in the trunk." And so, what was it? There was a bit there. I forget what it was. But anyway, they open the trunk and then there's like the program director of a radio station.
Yeah.
They kidnapped is in there. And he's like whacking him with a spatula he's making the waffles with. He's like, "You got to play our music on the radio waves. You got to play our music." And then, this is one of my favorite bits. His daughter walks out. It's like, "Hi, Dad. Hi, guys." He's like, "Gentlemen, say hi to my daughter." And they're like, "Hi."
Yeah, all these like tough rap guys turn. "Hi, how are you?" And then she steps away and they go back to beating
inside,
on this
honey.
guy.
Then they go back to beating him up. I like that bit. That was pretty good.
It's very good.
So then, and then I think we find out that Tommy owed Sin like $300,000.
$300,000 for like some kind of producing or
something like that. So that sets up a little bit of tension with that. Then we go back to Chili and Edie, and this is when. So they meet Linda at a place. Linda's like, "This is the only place where they let me play." Because Chili wants Edie to hear Linda play.
Yeah.
So she shows up. It's a hip hop like dance club.
Yeah. But they all calm down so that she can play the piano.
And I wrote down Vibe Crusher.
Yeah.
Because it's all this like very hype like hip hop dancing, and then you just hear like the.
Then she's just like, "And I feel
snow goes white on the mountain tonight." She
the fortress to be seen.
It looks
like I'm a queen. You're welcome, audience. So
the wind is howling. Okay, I'll stop. No, she plays like a piano ballad.
Yeah.
And Edie likes her tone. She likes her voice.
Yeah.
She's like, "Oh yeah, she could be something." So this is when like, Edie's talking to Chili. He's like, like she's great, but it costs a lot of money to like get like a record going. We got to get a mix and a master and a CDs and all that stuff. He's like, "Well, what would help?" Because earlier we missed this little bit, but it was like when Edie and Chili meet for the first time at Tommy's house, she tells him how she was not a groupie for the Aerosmiths.
Yeah.
She like did their laundry or something. So she has like a connection of some sort.
Yeah.
So back in this scene with Linda's performance, when Chili and Edie are talking, Chili's like, "Well, we should get Steven Tyler to endorse her."
Yeah.
He's like, "What?"
Yeah.
Like, how do we do that?
So Chili puts his plan in motion.
Yeah.
They go home, and we get a callback to a bit from Get Shorty.
This is the Russian hitman guy.
Yes. Is it the Russian hitman first, or does he meet the Dub MDs first?
I think it's the Russian hitman first.
Okay.
Because when he shows up and there's a dead guy aiming a gun.
No, it's definitely the Dub MDs first.
I don't think so.
Like doesn't he meet them and they tell him they need the 300,000?
No, because they show up at the studio.
Oh, okay. You're right.
Yeah, they show up at the studio later. So Chili goes to his house.
Yeah, he goes home.
There's a Russian hitman sitting on his
first is that thing where he comes in, there's a TV on, which in the first Get Shorty is what they would always do, where like a TV would be on, someone would come to investigate, there'd be a guy sitting there with a gun pointed at you.
Yeah.
So Chili goes into his house, and he hears a TV, and he goes into his office, and he sees a Russian hitman pointing a gun at him. The Russian hitman does not move. He walks up to him and sees there's a bullet hole in the back of his head.
Yeah.
And there's 2 bullet impacts in the window, implying that someone shot the Russian hitman, a sniper.
Right.
Chili has no idea what's going on, so he calls up one of his boys, and
who is this guy?
I have no idea.
Who is this guy? Because we see him again multiple times.
Yeah.
It's never established how they know each other.
It's just like
what he does for him.
It's just like a tough guy.
Is he on a payroll?
He's just the tough guy who Chili hires.
What job is he under in like the payroll system? Like tough guy number 3?
Yeah.
Like, how is he billing his hours?
Yeah. Chili gives him a flat.
He's
rate.
like going to like the accountant, and be like, well, it's like, hey, Johnny Tough.
He gets a guarantee.
Johnny
12.
Tough guy, I have a question about your latest time card. It's like, what? It's like, well, it says here, you took your half-hour lunch, but then you went back at this time. It's like, oh yeah. So what happened was we stopped at In-N-Out, and then we were stalking somebody, and you're like, oh, okay, that clears it up. Thank you. So you'll get your check in 2 weeks. Like, thank you, Linda. Thank you. Yeah. He helps him with the body, and then we're back with Vince Vaughn, Raji, and The Rock.
Yes.
And they hear about this hit.
And
because it's on the newspaper.
That Joe Loop hit the Russian instead of Chili Palmer.
The Russian who was trying to hit Chili Palmer.
Yes.
Like, this guy has 3 people coming after him right now.
It's so good. That's the good stuff in this movie.
Yeah. It's the
where Chili Palmer has 3 different groups all coming after him. They're all somehow whacking each other and getting into fights with each other.
Yeah.
It's like in a video game or like Halo or something where there's like the 2 factions that you're fighting, and you can somehow convince them to fight each other.
Jeff, do you play Halo?
Yeah. But like when you have to get to the top of the hill and you're like, ooh, there's some flood there, and you throw a grenade and the flood run over and you convince them to fight the Covenant, and they just watch and see what happens.
Have you been playing Halo recently?
Yes, I've been playing Halo Infinite recently. It's really good. So
we're not sponsored by Halo. Or
we're not
Bungie.
sponsored by Microsoft.
Yeah. Anyway,
we could be if you want us to. Microsoft, hit us up.
Yeah.
So they're in the studio recording with Linda, like a demo track. And they very quickly realize they have no money.
Yeah, their books are empty.
Yeah. Edie opens the books and realizes that there are none.
Yeah, and so as soon as this happens, Sin and the gang show up.
Yeah. Sin and his boys, the Hummers show up blasting the exact same section of the same track.
And I actually kind of like this bit because this is another Get Shorty callback. Because John Travolta tells Edie to sit in the seat, don't talk about the Russians. He kind of
mentions the Russians.
And he kind of does the same thing that we mentioned in the Get Shorty episode where he sets up the scene.
Yeah.
So, which I thought was...
For diminishing returns.
Yeah.
Because the thing about Get Shorty is it's a movie about making a movie.
Yeah.
And how Chili is making a movie throughout it. This is not. This is a movie about making a record album, but he still does the movie bits from the first one, but it never really pays off.
Right.
Which is a big problem in this movie.
Yeah. So Sin shows up, and he's asking Edie for the money.
Yeah.
He's like, I need my money. And then at some point, Chili, who's... I don't know what camera angles they were deciding on, but apparently like there was an angle that just randomly shows Chili like, oh, he's sitting in a couch behind them. It cuts to Chili and he's like, yo, Sin, be cool.
Yeah. And Sin turns around and is like, I am cool. I invented cool. Basically.
Yeah. So.
And then Edie freaks out, immediately mentions the Russians and that their books are empty.
And then they start laughing. I liked this bit because they start laughing. And this is a classic bit where like one of the henchmen doesn't stop laughing.
Yeah.
But then Cedric, the entertainer, does a great thing where he just looks at me like, chuckles. And he stops laughing.
Yeah.
That was pretty funny.
And so they make a deal. Chili will get
the money by Friday.
We'll get them
plus the VIG.
Yes. Plus the VIG.
What is the VIG, Jeff?
It's the interest.
Yeah.
Owed. For like, what, 3 days?
Right.
But money back plus the VIG by Friday.
Yeah.
So now Chili has a deadline for Friday, and he has seemingly 4 different operations going on at the same time.
Yeah, he's got this bit with the Russians.
He's got to get Linda hooked up with Steven Tyler to make her a star, to make money, so they can produce her album.
Got to get Linda out of her contract with Nicky Carr.
Yes.
He's got to pay Sin and his gang the money. There's a lot of bits going on.
A lot going on.
Like Get Shorty.
Yes.
So
I also wrote my notes at this point. Vince Vaughn should be arrested.
Yes, I wrote down in my notes, Vince must be stopped, underlined. Because this is the scene where it's Elliot driving Raji around.
Yes.
And Raji's just giving him one too many gay jokes that I myself can be comfortable with.
Yeah.
Until eventually Dwayne Johnson like veers the car around,
gets out and starts trying to beat up Raji.
Yeah, and Raji is like telling him to come down.
Yeah,
for the most fucking dumb way possible.
Yes, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to say it in his voice.
Horrible.
Yeah, it's very racist.
Well, I mean, like, how has Vince not been canceled for this?
Yes. I mean, what does Vince Vaughn do after this movie?
Enough.
Too much.
Too much. He should have been canceled.
So he does Be Cool, and then he's in. Oh, he does Wedding Crashers the same year as this.
And when does he do the breakup with Jennifer Aniston?
The next year, he does the breakup.
My sister's going through.
Then the year after that, it's Into the Wild, Fred Claus.
Fred Claus was a good movie. Don't at me.
Couples Retreat. Fred Claus features Kevin Spacey in the strangest role ever.
It's a good movie. Don't at me.
Oh God,
Fred Claus is pretty good.
It does have John Michael Higgins as
who does it have?
Elf,
Who does it have as Santa Claus?
Paul Giamatti, who's great in it.
Yeah,
Paul Giamatti's great in that movie.
Yeah. Because you know what?
What?
It's a good movie.
Good actor.
Fred Claus is a good movie.
You're trying to do a me bit right now.
No, it's actually a pretty good movie.
Oh God. Ludacris also plays an elf in that, right? That's a thing?
Yep.
Okay. Oh, you know what does happen in Fred Claus?
What happens in Fred Claus?
Fred Claus has the strangest scene ever.
What scene?
It's where, like, he goes to, like, an AA meeting, Fred, but it's for siblings of famous people. And it's like Fred Claus is there, played by Vince Vaughn, and he's sitting with Frank Stallone, Roger Clinton, and Stephen Baldwin.
I fucking love that.
It's so strange.
I love it.
It's like Bill Clinton's brother, Stallone's brother, Alec Baldwin's brother. I'll just sitting there like, I remember when me and Bill, we was brothers, and then he became president. It's so strange. Anyway, that's enough about Fred Claus. Less said about Vince Vaughn, the better. Back to the movie.
Yeah, eventually Vince convinces Elliot or Dwayne to stop trying to hit him.
Yes. And they get back in the car.
Yeah. Chili visits Nick Carr.
Yes.
Talks about Linda's contract.
Says she needs to get out of it.
Yeah.
Nick says no.
And
he says we gotta make sure that Joe Loop whacks him, and he sends Roger to go talk to Joe Loop.
And so Raji does go talk to Joe Loop.
He calls Joe Loop. He's in another club eating another sandwich.
And they start talking, and he's about, all right, well, I needed another $5,000 for a second hit. He's like, what do you mean? You didn't do the first hit. He's like,
I did a hit, just the wrong guy.
Just the wrong guy.
So I need the money.
So they're out in the parking lot.
Yeah, they meet him in a parking lot.
And Joe starts choking.
Yeah.
But then he
on
falls
a ham sandwich.
And then he falls on the ground. And then that's when Raji takes the baseball bat that they got like earlier.
Yeah.
It's like a ruby red baseball bat.
Yeah, a metal red baseball bat.
It's not a wooden one.
Mm-hmm.
It's an aluminum one.
And he beats Joe Loop to death.
Which, by the way, anybody knows if you're trying to buy a baseball bat to actually hit somebody with, you buy a softball bat. Get fucking
Doesn't
real.
Joe Loop make fun of them?
Yeah, they make fun
before
of them
he dies.
They're supposed to get a wooden bat.
He's like, you need a wooden bat if you want to threaten someone. A metal bat's not going to do anything. But they end up killing Joe Loop with the metal one anyway, so I guess joke's on him.
Yeah. So Joe Loop dies, as well as Robert Pastorelli after this film.
Raji and Elliot take the body and apparently dump it in Griffith Park. It's immediately discovered the next morning.
Because it's Griffith Park.
Yeah. And because they talk to the next day, Chili goes to, where does he goes to that pawn store. Oh, he talks to his guy, his boy again, like his tough guy.
Well, no. So there's a bit we missed the main bit before.
Yeah.
Before the pawn shop, it's
God.
Chili and Edie at the club.
Yeah, they go to a club.
What do they do at the club?
They dance.
What do they dance to?
They do the fucking dance from Pulp Fiction.
To what?
I can't remember the song.
To the Black Eyed Peas.
Oh yeah.
like
not just the Black Eyed Peas, but it is the actual Black Eyed Peas.
It is the actual Black Eyed Peas.
Fergie's up there. She's up there.
Yeah, Will.i.am.
Every time I forget that he actually went by Will.i.am, it makes me so happy when I remember.
And who was the fucking piano player, dude?
I don't remember. I don't know the Black Eyed Peas.
Well, I don't even think he was the Black Eyed
well,
Peas.
They did. Oh, yeah. Iron, I know what you're talking about. Sergio Mendes. Because he's like, Chili's like, I only like the Black Eyed Peas when they started touring with Sergio Mendes.
I wrote down my notes. No. They're dancing! And I wrote Travolta Thurman dancing. Why did we need that?
Stuart, while you were watching them, you sent me a picture of yourself, aghast, saying the bastardization of the Pulp Fiction scene, the audacity, I can't.
Yeah, it was pretty awful.
You seemed disturbed.
I was disturbed because we didn't need it. I mean, like, the whole point about the Pulp Fiction dance is the fact that Vince Vega can't be too suave and too charismatic with Mia, or else he's going to get whacked. But if he doesn't show a good enough time to Mia, he's going to get whacked.
So there's a tension in it.
So there's a tension in it.
This just exists.
By the way, she also just did cocaine in the bathroom, too.
This dance scene exists in this movie just to remind you of that dance scene.
Exactly.
It's like, remember that?
Only they're doing it to the Black Eyed fucking Peas! What the fuck?
The Black Eyed Peas.
Burn it.
Okay.
Burn it to the ground. So that's when Chili and his tough guy.
He's tough guy.
Tough guy number 3.
Tough guy and him meet up.
Roger Ellington.
And he's like, I've been following the Russians, and they operate out of this pawn shop.
Yep.
So Chili goes into this pawn shop.
Punches one guy.
Yeah.
And then he fights another guy. And then he just tells him, hey, next time you try to shoot me, don't miss.
Yeah.
And then he leaves.
Mm-hmm.
Like, talk about the essence of, like, a dude just walks into a Russian mafia center.
Yeah.
Takes a fat, juicy, wet dump on their front porch and leaves unscathed.
And he walks out, and the place is surrounded by undercover cops.
Yeah.
And 2 of them pull up, who is the people who question him in the first scene of the movie after Tommy's death.
Yeah.
And they're like, this guy Joe Loop was found dead in Griffith Observatory. We have a specific description of the guys who dumped him. One of them was wearing a pimp hat, and one had an afro. It's like, I wonder who those could be.
Yeah.
Very clearly Raji and Elliot. And Chili picks that up pretty quick.
Right, yeah. So Lakers game.
Mm-hmm.
Chili and Eddie, they sit with Steven Tyler.
Yeah.
Who's in this movie. Steven Tyler's in this movie.
Yeah.
And so then, oh God, we get an intercut scene with Harvey Keitel rapping.
Do we?
He does some dumb fucking
rap
bit.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, he does some weird ass rap bit.
He's like, we, the Russians, and we. He does some rap about how he and the about he and the Russians want the same thing so they can work together.
You and me want Chili.
Yes,
something like
that.
And it's so like cringy. So we're back at the Lakers game, and they're talking to Steven Tyler, and they're showing him Linda's demo.
Danny DeVito's at the Lakers game.
Yeah.
Playing the Jack Nicholson bit in the Kiss Cam.
Yeah.
And Edie's like, do you think Steven will remember me? So they sit down next to him, Steven Tyler's immediately like, hey, Linda! Or hey, Edie, I remember you. Do you still got that tattoo? And she does.
Yeah. So he remembers her.
Yeah. And so they hang out. He plays them the track. And he's like, that's some good stuff, man. But Chili, I know you're a movie guy. I'm not the type of musician who pops up in movies.
Which, pause, he had already done that before this movie. Steven Tyler.
That's the bit.
I know.
That's the bit, is that he is that kind of musician.
Yeah, it's a dumb bit.
Yeah, it's a good bit.
It's a dumb bit. It's a bad bit.
Kind of a good bit.
It's a horrible bit. So then there's another terrible bit, and that is like, I'm not sure if like, you know, if this girl, like, she's got a good voice, but like, does she have it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then Chili Palmer's like, why did you write Sweet Emotion?
Yeah.
And then he's like, well, you see, when we were writing Toys in the Attic, like, I just felt this like heavy feeling, you know, come over me, this high.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to write about that. Chili's like, nah, that ain't it. And then Chili proceeds to tell him why Steven Tyler wrote one of his own fucking songs.
Yeah, Chili explains to Steven Tyler that the song that he wrote was about his daughters.
He's like, I don't know, Chili. They were really little at the time.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, no, but that emotion you felt for your kids, that's why
Yeah.
you wrote Sweet Emotion. And somehow
Steven
that...
Tyler's like, I never thought about it like that. And it's
You're
like,
right, man.
It's like, and are you fucking telling me Chili Palmer is explaining to Steven Tyler what Sweet Emotion is about?
Yeah,
Oh,
that's what the
God.
movie wants you to believe.
It does. It really does.
So Steven Tyler changes his mind.
Yeah.
They go back to Edie's house. Elliot's there
Yes.
with the baseball bat.
Yes.
He takes a swing at Chili, he misses.
Chili immediately grabs the bat from him.
Yeah. And he's like, what are you doing, man?
Yeah.
And he's like, well, you never called me about the audition. And he's like, I got a monologue prepared and everything.
Yeah.
He does a monologue from the movie Bring It On.
Yeah. But he plays both characters. in
Plays
this scene.
both female characters.
Yeah.
About how they're going to win the championship. And he does the and scene bit.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh, like, well, maybe you should do like, monologues typically tend to be performed by one person,
Yeah.
not two. And maybe you should do like a monologue that's spoken from a man's perspective.
Yeah. And that's like, okay.
And then he
Chili
says,
says, I'll give you a call.
and he's like, and he does the eyebrow thing one more time. And like, oh, so good.
Yeah.
So good.
Oh,
eyebrow thing.
Well, I gotta say, when they first walk in, they're doing the TV bit again where there's a TV on.
Yeah.
It's playing The Rock's music video.
Which, The Rock's music video, what is it?
It's him in a cowboy costume. And what song is he singing?
I don't know.
I think it's like some Dolly Parton.
Cotton Eye Joe.
Something. It's like Dolly Parton or something.
Imagine The Rock singing Cotton Eye Joe.
That would be something.
That would be something. So Nick then talks to the Russians, and that's when he's telling him, like, hey, you and I want the same thing. We're
Yeah.
not so different, you and I.
So he gives them. His plan is that he's going to give Chili a ticket. He's going to give Chili a ticket to the pawn shop, where he says that Linda's contract is being held.
Right.
And then Chili's going to go to the Russian pawn shop and hand in the ticket and get the contract, but then the Russians are going to whack him or something there?
It makes... I
can't remember exactly how it plays out, but Chili gives it to the cops. And so the cops go in.
Yeah.
Which leads the Russians to believe that Nick Carr is working with the cops.
So then... and then at this point, Nick apparently fucking kidnapped Linda or some shit like that. Or Raji kidnapped Linda or some shit.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm going to force her to perform at this show.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh. And then Chili shows up and says, nah, you're not going to perform this show.
Yeah.
You're going to perform with Aerosmith. She's like, oh my God, okay. And then they let her fucking leave.
Yeah.
Just leave. Like, why has Chili Palmer not gotten whacked?
Yes.
It makes no goddamn
They're
sense.
playing all the sides against each other.
Oh, right.
And so...
Sin and company show up again to confront Chili.
Well, they run into them outside of a...
and it's more of a reminder bit.
Yeah.
Like, tomorrow's the day.
It's a really good bit. Because, like, they just happen to run into Sin and the Boys. And they're all standing there with shopping bags. They see Chili Palmer, and they all drop their bags in unison.
Yeah, that's a good bit.
And Cedric is just like, me and the boys are down here getting some Mongolian barbecue. When we happen to see your ride here. And Joey says, like, the Cadillac Volvos again.
Yeah.
And since, like, you got one day, let's go, boys. And they all pick up their bags in unison and walk off. And they're playing the exact same track again. Very good. So now Chili's next step in pitting all these guys against each other is the Russians think that Nick's working with the cops.
Yeah.
And
then Raji and Elliot, after they had just lost Linda again,
yeah.
now they think Nick's the problem.
Yes.
So then they call Sin.
Yes.
While he's picking up his daughter. And Raji doesn't think that Sin knows who it is, so he just tells him that Nick is going to take the $300,000 that Chili owes you. So you should take out Nick. And then, but
Sin immediately figures out who's calling.
Yeah, because he calls the number back and he's like, "This is Raji." He's like, "Oh shit."
The one good Vince Vaughn bit in this.
Yeah. So Sin knows that it's Raji.
Yeah.
So Sin and his gang show up to Nick's office.
Yes. And they take Raji and dangle him off the side of the skyscraper.
And then the Russians show up.
Yes.
And then we get a couple N-words thrown out.
Yeah, the Russians call Sin's like, we were here we were the first to intimidate here, and like this argument breaks out
like
about who gets to kill Nick and Raji.
Yeah.
And the Russian calls him the hour. I want to say this Russian looks a lot like old Elon Musk.
Yeah, he does.
He looks a lot like Elon Musk.
He does, doesn't he?
He really does.
Yeah.
And so Cedric actually has a very good monologue.
Yeah, he does.
Explaining how no matter what like Black Americans do for culture in America, they're constantly belittled and insulted. And it's actually very powerful. Cedric does it very well. But it ends up resulting in him just killing the Russian leader.
Yeah.
And that's that.
And they let Nick and Raji go.
Yes.
They send Sin to Chile.
Mm.
And so then it's the Aerosmith concert.
Yes.
Linda sings a song with Aerosmith. Just a concert scene.
Yeah. She's now a star.
Yeah. Chili and Edie kiss because they've been having sexual tension throughout the entire movie, of course.
Yes.
Then
they sleep together.
They sleep together. They're in bed together, and then
there's a TV playing.
We get the TV playing a bit.
So Chili goes down, and it's Sin and the WebMDs.
Guns cocked,
and they're ready to take him out.
Yeah. So then Chili's like, whoa, you can shoot me, but before you do,
just listen.
And he shows.
But rather than listening, you think it's gonna be he has something to say. Then we just cut to Uma coming down the stairs, and he's playing Linda's track for them.
Yeah.
And Sin's like, this girl's got it. He's like, I'll forget about the 300,000, but let me produce this track.
Yeah.
Or let me produce this album.
It's at this point I write down, this movie does not end.
Well, he's now dealt with the Russians and he's dealt with Sin.
Yeah. Now it's just Raji.
And Nick.
So we cut to Raji comes to Elliot's place. Elliot's not there.
Yeah.
Elliot, a.k.a. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. And he has a voicemail, and it's Chili.
Because Nick tells Raji to kill Chili.
Yeah. And so Chili's voicemail leaves a voicemail on Elliot's machine.
Offering him an
audition with Nicole Kidman.
Yes.
Raji
come to this place.
Yeah, Tuesday.
Dream.
Yeah, Tuesday.
Heartbreak feels good in a place like this. Stuart, have you been to an AMC theaters recently?
No.
Ooh. To the audience at home. Stuart and I are seeing the new Spider-Man movie after this recording today.
When this episode comes out, it would have been 2 weeks.
This is possibly Stuart's. This seems like this is going to be Stuart's first experience with Heartbreak Feels Good in a Place Like This. Though I have heard they changed it for the. We'll see.
What? I don't know what you're talking about.
You'll see.
All right.
Let me just say that AMC Theaters has a new feature, a new thing that is the talk of the town online. Anyway. So Raji deletes that voicemail.
Yeah. So then Sin and Chili.
Yes.
produce Linda's album.
Sounds great.
And then it's like, all right, who are we gonna get to do the music video?
Yeah, we need a music video.
And then Chili offers a name. He's like, oh, we can't get him to do it. It's
Chili
like,
says we gotta get Shotgun.
Yeah, and he's like,
Sin's
we can't get Shotgun.
Shotgun does all the big stuff. And Chili's like, he was a PA for me on Get Leo. I can get him. Cut to
Seth Green,
which is like, oh wow, this movie was the early 2000s.
It really dates itself when it casts Seth Green in it.
Yeah, when Seth Green pops up in a movie, you're like, oh, this was made between 1999 and 2005.
Yep. Seth Green's still doing stuff, but like,
is he?
But what? Yeah, but like,
I genuinely believe that a portal opened up in 2005. Seth Green stepped through and it has not been heard of since.
He's still voicing Chris in Family Guy.
He's still with Chris and Family Guy. I mean, he was in the Mass Effect games. I'm looking up his recent, he voiced Howard the Duck in Guardians of the Galaxy.
He's doing a lot of voice acting roles.
And a lot of himself and small cameo roles. Regardless, Seth Green basically walked off the face of the earth in 2005.
I want to do a character study on Seth Green.
He had that run.
Does he have any scandals?
Scandals? Not on his Wikipedia.
Which means he's totally innocent of everything.
Yeah, never done anything. But basically he has a run from Austin Powers 1 through movies like Josie and the Pussycats, Rat Race, Italian Job, Austin Powers 2 and 3, Scooby-Doo 2, And then through this, it's basically like he is the guy for that time. He's on Mad TV, that 70s show.
Yeah.
And then he just gets into voice acting, and we never see him again.
So then Seth Green's this music video director. Yes. While this shoot is going on, Nick, Raji, and Elliot show up at the set, and they stick up Chili and Edie, and Nick wants Linda's contract back. And so Nick says, you can go find Linda's contract at this place. And she hands him the pawn shop ticket. He's like, what's this? It's like, we thought it'd be a neat little callback.
Yeah.
It's not a good bit. It's not a good bit. So now it's just Elliot and Raji, and they're about to shoot Chili and Edie. And then Chili's like, whoa. Like, you can say goodbye to your audition. And Elliot's like, what do you mean? It's like, I left you a voicemail. It's like, no, you didn't. I don't have any messages. It's like, check your second phone. Check your cell. And he's like, I never we never mentioned this bit.
Yeah.
There apparently was a bit throughout the entire movie where Elliot doesn't know how to check the voicemails on his cell phone. Yeah. And then Edie shows him how.
And he listens
to the voicemail.
And it's the audition.
Finds out Raji was lying to him.
Yeah.
So then
he goes after Raji.
Goes after Raji, shoots, misses, but something catches on fire and it spreads and it catches Vaughn on fire.
So we get Vince Vaughn
on fire,
encroached in flame, running into the music video.
Would you say he is Tallahassee grilled or
Kentucky Fried? He's looking
like that. You like that setup? Do you like that setup?
So he runs in.
Did you like it?
I did.
Okay,
good. And so Vince Vaughn runs in the music video, and everyone thinks it's a part of the music video. He becomes famous for that.
Yep.
Meanwhile, the last bit is settled.
And I write down, make it stop.
Vince is seemingly killed by this as well. But the final bit, Nick Carr goes to the pawn shop to get the contract, hands over the ticket. The Russians hand him
a package.
The metal bat.
Yeah. And the cops show up.
That killed Joe Loop, and the cops show up and arrest Nick Carr for killing Joe Loop.
Convenient.
Yes. And then we cut a few months in the future. But the MTV Music Awards.
Yes.
Linda
does a concert first, and someone makes a special appearance in the concert.
Does she?
Yeah. It's Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson as a Samoan dancer.
Well, no, that's at the Music Video Awards.
It's before the award ceremony.
Is it? Okay, she performs at the MTV Music Video Awards.
Yes.
And
we get Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson as a Samoan.
Yeah, he appears as a Samoan dancer, still with the afro. But he dances in her music video. And at the performance, Chili, me too. Chili gives her a hug, and she's like, he believed in me in his speech, and everyone applauds Chili Palmer. And it ends with Chili and Edie leaving, and they drive off from the Music Video Awards. As they're driving off, they pan up, and there's a big poster for a movie called...
I don't know.
Oh, it's called, like, Samoan Adventure or something. That stars The Rock and Nicole Kidman. And that's the end of the movie. That's be cool.
And that's what I write down.
Thank God it's over.
In big, bold letters.
He did. He really did, folks.
Okay. So that is Be
Cool.
Cool. All right, Jeff, what you got for post-text?
So this movie comes out. It's not well received.
Right.
Generally, everyone pretty much says, like, the first movie ran and this one walks. Like, it crawls even. Like, it's tepid. It doesn't have any of the flame or originality of the first one. Doesn't feel particularly interesting.
Yeah.
So it's not a success critically. It is not really a success commercially. The budget for this movie is questionable.
Really?
Like, questionable. It is listed as being somewhere between $53 and $75 million to make this movie, which is a big range.
Well, I would probably guess on the higher end just because of the named actors.
Yes.
I mean, Dwayne "The Rock"
when you
Johnson
see a range like that, it's generally like it's the higher end of it.
Your heavy hitters are your Keitel.
I mean, The Rock
Travolta.
was still cheap at this point.
Rock was still cheap, but you still had Vince Vaughn, who was probably still bankable. You had Uma Thurman, who was. This is after Kill Bill, right?
Yeah. So right after Kill Bill.
Yeah, she's got to be bankable, right?
Yeah. So it's got a lot of big names. So this was an expensive movie. It only makes $95 million.
So yeah,
makes less than Get Shorty for a higher budget.
Yeah.
So not great. It comes out in March too, which is like just not a sign of confidence in this movie.
Right.
It's kind of a dumping ground, especially for a movie of this type. Like I said, F. Gary Gray likes to blame the R rating or the lack of R rating, and I'm like, that's not like this movie could have had an R rating, could have a lot of F bombs or whatever, and that wouldn't have changed anything.
Yeah.
Lame.
Mm-hmm. Well, I already did the hair ranking.
Yeah.
I pretty much have said my piece on it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a disappointing movie, and another disappointing step for Travolta in this era of straight disappointing steps.
And I've already asked you this before, but remind me again. After we're gonna do a documentary after this, which should be a cakewalk, or a moonwalk.
Whoa! Yeah, we'll be
that. Like that.
Yeah, so that's I really don't have anything else to say on Be Cool either.
But what I was getting to is after this moonwalk documentary that we're doing. What's after this?
Yeah, after this, next week. You folks have a magnificent episode to listen to.
It might be a little desolate.
Is this the fastest we've come to an ending after discussing a movie?
I think so, just because besides post-text, I don't have much discussion.
This doesn't do anything for his career.
Well, no, I do want to talk about one quick thing, but what's the movie after The Magnificent Desolation?
Yeah, next week we'll be talking about Magnificent Desolation, Walking on the Moon, 3D experience, IMAX experience.
What's after that?
Lonely Hearts.
Okay. I don't know anything about Lonely Hearts. We'll talk about that later. What's after Lonely Hearts?
After Lonely Hearts is
Wild Hogs. Okay. All right. Real quick thing to sum my sort of thoughts things up. Little discussion to take us out is we've been talking about these retreat movies.
Yeah.
And I feel like you can't get any more retreat than this movie.
Yes.
And so the movies he does afterwards are like kind of just throw
something a wall, see if he's going to give up on retreating and try and just forge a new path.
Throw whatever's at the wall and see if it sticks.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what I've never seen Lonely Hearts.
The next few movies we have to deal with are a gangster movie.
That's Lonely Hearts.
Yeah, like a road trip dad comedy.
Wild Hogs.
A musical.
And
a Disney animated
The road trip dad movie is like perfect in the sense that all 4 actors in that
are dad actors,
and they're all at the same washed up point in their career.
I'm so excited to talk about Wild Hogs.
Listen, you got Tim Allen, who besides he's
smuggling cocaine in the 80s.
Yeah, this is well after that. He's a new man, voting for Trump now. Be okay. Besides Toy Story, and
I remember back when men were allowed to be men.
He's not doing Home Improvement anymore.
No.
So I don't know what he's really doing besides, and he's Santa Claus movies, Toy Story, and Santa Claus movies. That's about all that Tim Allen has for him. William H. Macy is still the supporting side character guy that he was in, in the movie Sahara with Matthew McConaughey and the Civil Action with John Travolta. Yeah. He's a supporting character. That's all William H. Macy is really known for at this time era. Martin Lawrence, this is during or after Bad Boys explosion.
Yeah.
And then
this is well after Bad Boys too.
Yeah, and then you got John Travolta.
Yeah.
Who
we're gonna talk about this movie and
we're talking about this movie. I just have so many thoughts.
Let's not get too ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, you're right. But my ultimate thing was yes, everything after this movie, Be Cool, I would almost classify no more as a retreat movie.
Yeah, this
is
the end of his retreat attempts.
It's almost like everything after this is now throw shit at the wall and see what sticks.
Yeah, this is desperate trying to find a new avenue.
And
he finds a new avenue, which is not what he was looking for.
Well, and I'm there are some episodes that we've done where at the end of the episode we think this could have been a good movie if some small tweaks here and there. I don't know how this movie would have been good
if you had Barry Sonnenfeld. It was more like Get Shorty.
I mean, yeah, it would have been good for you and good for that audience. I was never in the Get Shorty realm. It just wasn't my movie.
Yeah.
This is I respect Get Shorty. It is just not a movie for me.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, which is fine. Totally fine. Respect it for people who do like it. Like you like how I love Song for Bobby Long. I like that you like Get Shorty.
Yeah.
So,
Great movie.
Not this movie.
Yeah. Anyway, that's like I said, next week you folks have the 2005 IMAX documentary, Magnificent Desolation, Walking on the Moon 3D to look forward to. A 45-minute documentary you can watch online, narrated by Tom Hanks. about the moon landing.
Where Morgan Freeman voices Neil Armstrong.
He does.
Not problematic.
Yeah. No, it's weird. But you folks have that to look forward to next week.
Yeah.
Anyway, as always, please remember to rate, review, subscribe on whatever platform you're listening on. As a reminder, we're available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and YouTube. Find us at Travolting Pod on Twitter or Instagram. Email us, travoltingpodcast@gmail.com. Find me on Twitter, at Jeff W. Sweeney.
You can find me on Instagram at Stuart Elmore 95.
And as always, special thanks to Rebecca Johnson for our graphic design, Michael Van Vertical Smith for our theme music, and Nicole Johnson for our social media.
All right, thank you, folks. Be
cool.